You know how sometimes a country makes a really big move militarily, signals a real shift? Well, the Czech Republic seems to be doing just that right now.
Yeah.
They're bringing in some seriously advanced equipment. We're talking F-35 jets, those CV-90 fighting vehicles.
Top-tier stuff, absolutely.
Yeah.
A major capability jump.
Right. And it makes you think, okay, how do you actually get your forces ready to use technology like that? And, do it fast. That's really what we want to dig into with you today.
It's a fascinating challenge, isn't it? This rapid upgrade. You're moving from, legacy systems to platforms that demand a whole different level of digital skill network thinking.
Exactly. It's not just new kit.
No, it's a whole new way of operating. A transformation.
And we've been looking at some interesting info on how EON Reality is stepping in, aiming to support this Czech modernization using what they call spatial AI and XR technology.
Right, the virtual and augmented reality side, powered by AI.
So our mission for the next, say, 10 minutes or so is to understand how this tech is supposed to bridge what's being called this considerable advanced skills chasm.
That gap between the old ways and the new tech demands.
Yeah. And importantly, what does all this mean for the Czech Republic's role within NATO? Let's get right into it.
Okay, so the starting point really is that skills gap. It's significant. When you bring in something like an F-35...
a fifth-gen fighter.
Exactly, with all its sensor fusion, stealth. Or the CV-90 IFV, which is highly digital, networked. Plus things like the Caesar artillery system. You're not just swapping machines.
No.
You need people who can master complex digital interfaces, who understand networked ops, who can really use all the data these systems generate. It's a huge shift from older, maybe more analog equipment.
And they need to work seamlessly with NATO allies too, right?
That's critical. Interoperability is key.
Okay, so EON Reality, what's their solution? What are they actually proposing to tackle this?
Well, EON Reality, they specialize in using AI with VR. And AR, they call it XR basically, to speed up learning and make it stick.
Okay.
And this initiative, the AI Academy for Defense Czech Western Integration Track, it's specifically designed to accelerate the training for these new Czech systems.
Right.
And what seems really important is how they're doing it collaboratively. They're working with the Czech Ministry of Defense, the Armed Forces, the University of Defense in Brno.
Academic partners too.
Yeah, and even key Czech defense companies like VOPCZ and Jeska's Bryovka. That partnership looks crucial for making sure the training actually fits the need.
Okay, so break down this AI Academy for us. What are the main parts? How is it different from, say, traditional military training methods?
Well, the core seems to be their EON XR platform. You can think of it as a secure, flexible digital space for building really realistic, interactive 3D training simulations.
Like flight simulators, but more versatile.
Kind of, yeah. The info mentions things like a virtual F-35 cockpit, detailed CV-90 crew stations, operating the Caesar system virtually. But here's the really interesting bit, technologically speaking. They have this thing called Spatial AI text-to-XR capability.
Spatial AI text-to-XR.
Okay.
Okay, that sounds advanced. How does that actually work? What does it do?
Okay, imagine you've got like a super technical Czech manual for the F-35. Or maybe a NATO STANAG, one of those standardization documents.
What dense stuff.
Exactly. This tech can supposedly take that text and automatically turn it into an interactive XR learning module in Czech. And they claim it can do it in under 80 seconds.
Wait, under 80 seconds? From a technical manual to an interactive simulation?
That's the claim. Think about the sheer amount of documentation for something like an F-35. If you can rapidly convert that into engaging, hands-on training, that's a huge speed advantage. And it keeps the training materials super relevant for the Czech forces.
How does the spatial AI part fit in?
My understanding is that AI isn't just reading the text. It's understanding the spatial relationships described, how components fit together, procedural steps in a 3D space, and translating that into the virtual environment.
Okay, that is a potential game changer for creating training content quickly. So the EON XR platform is the base. What else is part of this AI Academy program?
Right. The platform enables the AI Academy for Defense Czech Western Integration Track. That's the broader program. It uses those XR simulations practicing F-35 systems, running virtual CV-90 tactical drills, but combines them with AI that personalizes the learning.
So it adapts to the individual.
Yeah, focusing on where someone might need more practice or support. They also talk about offering Czech and NATO-recognized micro-credentials, which sort of validates the skills people gain.
Interesting. So it's not just about the initial how-to training. Is there a career aspect, too?
Looks like it. They mentioned tools called EON Career Guide and Compass. These are AI tools meant to help Czech personnel kind of map out their careers as the military modernizes, helping them see what skills are needed for these new platforms, maybe suggesting learning paths to get those skills. It's about supporting that long-term professional development in a more high-tech force.
And you mentioned a specific curriculum being developed.
That's right, the AI-era Czech military curriculum.
Yeah.
And again, it's collaborative EON working with Czech military experts in industry. The focus isn't just the technical operation.
Right, not just buttons and switches.
Exactly. It's also about these sort of AI-era skills, things like advanced sensor fusion for the F-35, making sense of all that data, networked IFV operations for the CV-90, data-driven decision-making.
Skills for the modern battlefield.
Precisely. And crucially, it's all being aligned with NATO integration needs, specifically mentioning MNDNE, Multinational Division Northeast.
That NATO formation in the Baltic region?
Correct. So ensuring Czech forces trained this way can plug right into NATO structures and operations.
This collaborative angle seems really central. How do those partnerships actually function day to day?
Well, the picture painted is quite integrated. They're talking to government and military leadership to get the strategic direction, define the exact training needs for the F-35, the CV-90, ensure it aligns with NATO goals.
Top-level buy-in.
Then you have the academic and training institutions like the University of Defense or the Vysoké Academy. They act as hubs for deploying the tech, bringing in teaching expertise.
Makes sense.
And the Czech defense industry, VOPCZ, Vysoká Zbrojovka, they're involved in defining the skill requirements for the gear they work on, validating the digital models, providing their technical expertise. It also helps strengthen Czechia's own defense industry base.
Okay, so deployment. How does this actually get rolled out? Are they building new training centers?
They seem to have flexible options, maybe dedicated AI academy centers near bases, but also integrating the XR tech into existing facilities like Vyškov.
So using what's already there.
Yeah, adapting. And interestingly, they mention mobile XR units too.
Mobile. Like take it out to the field.
Potentially, yeah. For field exercises, maybe even joint NATO exercises like with the EFT battle groups. And they're focusing on Czech language train-the-trainer programs to build up their own capability to use and develop this stuff.
Okay, we've covered the what and the how. Let's talk about the why. Why should our listener care? What are the big benefits here for the Czech Republic and for NATO?
I think the benefits are potentially pretty substantial. For Czechia, the big one is speed. Getting those F-35s and CV-90s actually operational much faster.
How much faster?
The numbers mentioned are pretty striking, up to 60% less training time, and mastering skills may be 4 times faster.
Wow, 4x, faster mastery.
Which means integrating these powerful new systems into their defense posture much more quickly. For NATO, that means a more capable, more interoperable ally sooner, which is significant, especially given the regional security context, like with MNDNE.
So speed is key. Are there other major advantages?
Oh yeah, definitely. Proficiency and safety are big ones. Using these virtual sims lets people practice complex, maybe dangerous, procedures, F-35 maneuvers, CV-90 tactics, totally risk-free.
Unlimited practice without bending metal.
Exactly. They mentioned achieving qualification rates over 95%. Plus, the immersive learning is expected to boost knowledge retention. And then there's the cost aspect.
Savings.
Potentially significant savings, yeah. Up to 65% on training costs over the equipment's life, according to the projections. So the overall goal seems to be creating an AI-ready, future-proof Czech military that contributes even more effectively to NATO's collective defense.
It really does highlight the difference compared to traditional training. You mentioned the info contrasts them.
It does. Traditional training development for complex Western systems can take months, sometimes years. This spatial AI claims content creation in seconds in Czech. Learning speed boosted, maybe up to 4x.
Huge difference.
And the focus shifts, right? Not just technical skills, but also these AI, data, and NATO integration skills. Plus, that risk-free practice on virtual versions of incredibly expensive gear like the F-35, that's fundamentally different.
You gave some general examples before. Can you get more specific? What kind of training scenarios does this spatial AI enable for, say, the F-35 or CV-90?
Sure. For the F-35 pilot and maintenance crews, think immersive sims for mastering the cockpit, understanding the sensor feeds, the EO tests, the DES systems, practicing stealth procedures, weapons integration, and the AI can rapidly turn existing Lockheed Martin or USAF manuals into these interactive lessons.
Okay, and the CV-90?
For the CV-90 crews and maintainers, training on its digital systems, the advanced sites, weapon stations, how it links into the command network, the C4ISR aspect, plus maintenance. And again, AI can pull in data from VOP, CZ, or BAE systems for this, even for the Caesar artillery, practicing deployment, fire control, digital comms, basic upkeep.
And it goes beyond just operating the individual machines. What about the bigger picture, working with allies?
Absolutely crucial point. They specifically mentioned training on NATO command procedures,
All right.
especially within that MND&E context. So virtual exercises for staff officers on NATO planning, reporting, coordinating with allies.
Right.
Also, JTAC and FA training the guys coordinating air support. They can practice calling in strikes, including F-35s, working with ground forces in realistic virtual settings, all following NATO protocols.
Integration training.
Yeah, cross-domain virtual exercises too, linking air, land, maybe cyber elements with allies. And on the maintenance side, think augmented reality. AR glasses showing step-by-step instructions overlaid on the real equipment for maintaining the F-35 CV-90 Caesar, with AI converting manuals into AR guides.
It really does sound like a much more integrated, efficient way to train. There was a quote included from Dan Lidgerskar at EON Reality.
Yes, the chairman. Yeah. He really emphasized that getting this kind of advanced tech demands a similar leap in training methods.
You can't just bolt on old training to new gear.
Exactly. His point was that EON's platform aims to be that leap, accelerating the skills needed and ensuring that smooth NATO integration.
Okay, so summing up, it seems spatial AI and XR tech offer the Czech Republic a potentially very rapid